struggle, as of course we had hoped, because of the the elections that had of course put a hold on investors who had of course uncertainties around the elections aftermath. But now that the election is done, what can we say? Little problem in Kenya, of course. Several things could come in. Of course, the Kenyan economy has also been struggling to come over the inflation and other problems, imports, the exchange rate, of course, the weakening shilling against the United States dollar. We could attribute some this failure to some of these, shortcomings. However, we can still look at some opportunities in this period. Remember, an optimist sees an opportunity in every problem, and the pessimist sees a problem in every opportunity. And that has never been truer for the financial markets here. Now, Nairobi Securities Exchange led the gainers. Remember, the exchange in Kenya is demutualized, and it did this in 2014 after a very successful IPO. It became a public limited company with people who can now buy shares into the company. This is something, of course, we look up to here in Uganda as well, having the Uganda Stock Exchange also demutualized and get to list on the Uganda Stock Exchange. This happened for Kenya and actually raised over about 627 million Kenyan shillings. So it was a successful one. Now, the story did not end there. On Friday, the company was the top gainer on its own exchange. Something quite, something to really applaud the company for. Now, it led the gainers with a 5.13% price appreciation, closing at 7.38 Kenyan shillings per share. It was followed by Flame Tree Group Holdings at 4.27% and Centum Investments Company at 2.83% price appreciation. Home Africa was another gainer at 2.78% on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Now, on the losing side, on the other hand, we had Crowns Paints Kenya, who lost by close to 7.88%, which was the worst performance on the stock market that day, and closing the day with the price of 39.15 Kenyan shillings. And when you look at TPS East African, Serena, this is a hotel management service company dealing in, of course, hospitality business, at a 7.14% decline, also registered a loss on the market on Friday. Nairobi Business Ventures was another loser at a 5.56% price depreciation, and TransCentury lost about 5.51%. Now, surprisingly, among us, the top movers was Kenya Commercial Bank, who recorded the highest volume of close to 5.09 million shares that was transacted on the Nairobi Stock Exchange on Friday. He was followed by Safaricom. He beat Safaricom. This is quite amazing. KCB beat Safaricom in terms of volumes. I think Safaricom dominates in most cases when it comes to the Kenyan stock market and things surrounding the volumes. Usually Safaricom comes out with very big figures. But definitely this time around it still came out at big figures, but KCB came out with much bigger figures of trading. Now, Kenya Power and Lighting Company was also another top gainer there, with over 985,400 shares that were transacted. And KenGen, or Kenya General Group, also came out with a 663,400 shares volume on the stock market. Now, let's break down the analysis, of course, for Nairobi Securities Exchange and find out if it is a company we could keep or a company we could drop. Now, NSE is a securities exchange in Nairobi and in Africa with a global reach. The company provides securities trading facilities. It has been listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange since the year 2014, after the demutualization of the Nairobi Stock Exchange and having it list and raised over close to 627 million Kenyan shillings on the stock market there in Kenya. The company trades under the ticker symbol NSE with a representation number, or the International Securities Identification Number being KE, a couple of zeros there, 9674. The company is currently the 35th most valuable company in as far as market capitalization is concerned, with a total market capitalization or market value of close to 1.92 billion Kenyan shillings, which makes about 0.096% of the entire Uganda Nairobi Securities Exchange equity market rather. The company on Friday gained 0.36 Kenyan shillings, and this was a 5.13% price appreciation, closing the day with a price of 7.38 Kenyan shillings on the stock market. The earnings per share currently on the company for every shareholder is currently 0.51 Kenyan shillings, and the day's low price was 7.2 Kenyan shillings, and the day's high price was about close to 7.5 Kenyan shillings. And when you look at that particular trade for Friday, the company traded close to 20,700 shares, and these are valued at over 152,834,000 Kenyan shillings. And this company currently has gained about 5.13% on a weekly basis, but on the 4 months basis, the company is still rather on the losing side, and that's where things will of course get a little bit tricky. Sometimes in the long term, companies could be doing badly, they could be doing well in the short term, and so on and so forth. That's why we need this breakdown or analysis for us to get to know every part of the story. Now, the company closing Friday at 7.38 Kenyan shillings per share on the Nairobi Stock Exchange recorded a 5.1% gain over its previous closing price, which was 7.02 Kenyan shillings. And however, the company began the year with a price of 8 Kenyan shillings and has since then lost close to 7.75%, ranking it the 37th in terms of year-to-date performance, which is a sort of mediocre or average performance, which you cannot actually pull out fingers for, but the company can still do much better. However, the company is the 19th most traded stock out of the 65 companies within the last 3 months, from the 1st of July to the 30th of September 2022. The Nairobi Stock Exchange within this period has traded a total volume of close to 2.7 million shares. That is 2.7 million within this period, and currently they have an average of about 42,933 shares per session and a volume high of 1.1 million shares. What a performance to be put up by an exchange that is demutualized. We should ask ourselves, why are people buying stock here? Because currently Kenya has 65 companies that are listed. You coming out as the 19th top trader, that is insane, I can say, especially for an exchange, because an exchange is not involved in the business of transacting maybe, let's say, goods or services. It is rather a trading facility that is facilitating the trade of different financial instruments. And so, why would people be this interested in buying stock in a securities exchange? That's your homework, of course, for you to do, because we might not be able to get into each and every detail, but I just give you a glimpse of what you should always look out for. If people are buying stock in this company, find out why and find out if you can join them, or you could still watch on the side and see what happens. All right. And so moving on to away from Nairobi Securities Exchange. This is the only exchange, of course, listed, so no close competitor there in as far as the services there delivered are concerned. Flame Tree Group Holdings was another top gainer, who was the second best on the stock exchange on Friday. Now, this company trades under the ticker symbol FTGH, and it has a total capitalization of close to 217 million Kenyan shillings, and currently is the 55th most valuable stock, much smaller stock compared to many other companies. However, it is constitutes about 0.011% of the entire NSE equity market. And looking at their earnings per share, currently they stand at 0.58 Kenyan shillings, and their price to earnings ratio is close to 2.10. The day's low price is 1.21, and the day's high price was 1.23 as well. The traded volume is 300 shares, and the number of deals is 2 currently, and the gross turnover is 365,000 Kenyan shillings there on the stock market. Now, currently the company is trading at about let's see, 1.22 Kenyan shillings. That's very much affordable stock. And however, the company has recorded a 4.3% gain on the day, that is on Friday, and the company began the year with 1.26 Kenyan shillings and has since then lost about 3.17%, which is the 32nd on in terms of year-to-date analysis there on Nairobi Stock Exchange. Flame Tree Group is still not so good, not so bad in terms of traded volume at the 40th position in terms of the traded volumes within the last 3 months, and that is in the third quarter of the year. It has traded within this quarter close to just 3,400 shares on Nairobi Stock Exchange. That is Flame Tree Group there. We also had Home Africa. Home Africa also gained about 2.178%, 2.78% rather on the stock price there for their stock on Nairobi Stock Exchange after having gone up by 0.01. It has a quite affordable stock of just 0.37 Kenyan shillings, and they gained about 0.68 on their earnings price to they lost rather about 0.68 and the earnings per share there on Friday. However, the company began the year with a price of 0.4 and has lost 7.5% in terms of year to date, ranking it the 36th on the Nairobi Stock Exchange in terms of year to date performance. Still an average kind of performance, but at least their stock is affordable. And in terms of traded volumes, it is the 11th most traded stock at the moment over the past 3 months, and it has traded within this period over 8.59 million shares. Now, basically, this is because of the affordability of their stock. The stock is quite affordable and tradable as well, so people find it easy to buy some shares in this company. And as well, you can consider that as a factor. If you think a company is doing good and you want to buy some stock for yourself in this company, you could still do something by buying a few shares in there and try to get into that company and see how you can trade. However, for smaller companies, I always want to emphasize the fact that volatility is quite high when it comes to small, medium enterprises, and even these companies with small stock prices. Sometimes volatility is quite high because people want to buy so many shares at a certain time, and at a certain time they want nothing to do with these shares. So you must also be careful while investing on that as well. Now, regarding the summary of the trades on the Nairobi Stock Exchange at the end of the day, last weekday of trading, and the last month day of trading at the Nairobi Stock Exchange, a total of over 12,286,000 shares were traded in close to 1,245 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 342 million for these trades on Friday. And compared with the previous day of trading, Thursday, September the 29th, the data shows 122% improvement in the volume and close to 189% improvement in the turnover, but a 9% decline in the deals. And currently, the market capitalization for Kenya is still standing at 2 trillion Kenyan shillings. That is it from Nairobi Stock Exchange. If you want to buy stock in Nairobi, it is as simple as contacting a stockbroker there in Nairobi and getting yourself some stock at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. SBG in particular, they have, of course, a branch there. We also have Crested Capital, Dyer and Blair. All these guys can actually get you stock in Nairobi. All you have to do is give them a call, visit their email, send them an email rather, visit their website and get to learn more. Remember, we have 3 active stock exchanges in East Africa. The Uganda Stock Exchange, actually rather 4. The Uganda Stock Exchange, the Nairobi Stock Exchange, Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, and the Rwanda Stock Exchange. So with these in place, you can still always be able to go and buy shares in all these countries without anyone, of course, hindering you or stopping you, because financial markets have no borders. You can still do whatsoever you want. And Altex East Africa is your #1 private stock exchange that will help you buy other financial instruments, that is treasury bonds and treasury bills across East Africa. That is via your mobile money for MTN. And for MTN users, you can still dial *292# as well as Airtel users *292# and follow the prompts. You will be able to buy and sell treasury bonds across East Africa on the secondary market. The markets at Altex open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. Altex doing something new. Thank you very much for remaining with us till now. And my name is Anthony. I've been your host. I hope you're having yourselves a good week and a good new month. It is the Independence Week. Uganda is attaining 60 years of independence. Are you independent? Are you independent financially? Are you independent spiritually? Are you independent physically? Or you're still in some sort of enslavement? And one way we can enslave ourselves is keeping money in boxes, keeping money on dormant accounts, and so many other things that we do with our money. Invest money so that you make money with money. And that's the way rich men have made money, by making money out of the money they earn. Thank you very much, and have a good day. See you the next time. Bye for now.